Hi there. Real quick before we jump into the episode. If you enjoy this episode, or any of the other episodes, be sure to give us a follow or subscribe. It would also be great if you shared it with a friend, or better yet, left a review so others can know how awesome it is. Thanks so much. And now, the episode.
Hey there, Press Starters, and welcome to the Press Start Leadership Podcast, the podcast about game-changing leadership, teaching you how to get the most out of your product and development team and become the leader you were meant to be. Leadership coaching and training for the international game industry professional. Now, let me introduce you to your host, the man, the myth, the legend, Christopher Mifsud.
Hey there, Press Starters. Welcome back to another awesome edition of the Press Start Leadership Podcast. On this week's episode, we'll be discussing Logic 101 for game development leaders, how clear reasoning drives better decisions, a conversational guide to critical thinking, decision-making frameworks, and logical problem-solving in video game studios. If you've ever stared down a mountain of conflicting project priorities, or found yourself juggling last-minute bug fixes with creative feature requests, you know that intuition can only get you so far. That's where Logic for game development leaders comes in. In this podcast, we'll chat about why sharpening your logical reasoning is just as crucial as honing your coding skills or design chops, and how you can weave critical thinking and structured decision-making into your studio's DNA. So grab a coffee or energy drink, settle in, and let's explore. Why logic matters in game development leadership. As a leader, you're constantly making calls that affect art teams, programmers, QA testers, and ultimately, your players. A missed assumption or unchecked bias can spiral into sunk costs, wasted time, or a drop in player satisfaction. Here's why embracing logic for game development leaders pays off. Clarity amid chaos. Complex systems, netcode, AI behaviors, rendering pipelines demand clear cause and effect thinking. Smart resource allocation. Budgets and deadlines are tight. Logical frameworks help you prioritize what truly moves the needle. Unified teams. When decisions follow transparent reasoning, your team understands why, boosting buy-in and morale. Balance innovation. Creative risks are essential, but logic provides guardrails ensuring experiments stay feasible and aligned to goals. In other words, logic doesn't stifle creativity. It supercharges it by filtering out dead ends faster. Core concepts of logic, the building blocks. Before we put frameworks to work, let's cover the essentials. Think of these as your logical toolbox. Premises and conclusions. A premise. A starting assumption, such as players value smooth frame rates. A conclusion, what you deduce, an example being optimizing our rendering pipeline will increase retention. Leaders who mix these up risk building castles on quicksand. Deductive versus inductive reasoning. Deductive reasoning is from general to specific. An example of this is all successful FPS games hit 60 frames per second. Our build runs at 60 frames per second, therefore it will succeed. Inductive reasoning, from specifics to general. Example would be, our last 3 playtests reported control lag. Likely input latency is too high. Great leaders blend both, deduction for consistency and induction for real-world adaptability. Spotting logical fallacies. Even the sharpest mind gets tripped up, so watch out for confirmation bias, only seeking data that backs your pet idea. Sunk cost fallacy, pouring more hours into a feature past its usefulness, or money. Appeal to authority, going with the decision simply because the director said so. By calling out these fallacies early, you keep your studio on the rational path. Decision-making frameworks you can actually use. So you're ready for some hands-on tools? Well, here are 3 that I've tested in both indie and AAA studios. Decision trees. Map your options. Why it works. Visualizes each choice, its outcome, and probabilities, so you can compare apples to apples. So how to start? First, define your decision. Use game engine A or B. Branch outcomes. List possible results, performance gain, integration headaches, license cost. Assign probabilities. Estimate likelihood. So, use past data if available. Calculate expected value. Multiply outcome value times probability and then the sum. Pick the branch with the highest expected value. Pros and cons matrix. Quick, clear comparisons. Why it works. It's simple, can be done in a spreadsheet or on a whiteboard. How to start. Options across the top. Expand tutorial, add co-op mode. Criteria down the side. Cost, dev time, player impact, maintenance needs. Rate 1 through 5 for each option versus each criterion. Total the scores. The highest score wins. Last example. Cost benefit analysis, also a CBA. Dollars and cents. Why it works. It puts financial and resource considerations front and center. How to start here. List costs, dev hours, middleware fees, marketing spend. Estimate the benefits. Projected revenue lift, player lifetime value increases. Compute net player value, or NPV. Discount future benefits to present value. Decision rule. If NPV is greater than 0, it's a go. Using these frameworks consistently embeds logical problem solving in game studios, making every major choice more defensible. Applying logic to real-world challenges. Okay, so you know the tools. Now let's see them in action. Bug triage. Scenario. A nasty bug pops up right before your planned patch. First step. Assess the severity. Blocker versus minor visual flaw. Decision tree. Deploy full patch delay or hotfix critical bugs only. CBA. Patch delay costs player goodwill. Hotfix carries risk disability. Outcome. Hotfix critical issues now. Schedule minor bug fixes for next sprint. Feature prioritization. Scenario. Do you invest in an extended campaign or a multiplayer mode? Matrix time. Compare dev cost, potential sales boost, alignment with studio brand. Induction check. Historical data shows multiplayer titles extend player retention by 20%. Decision. Prioritize multiplayer. Schedule campaign as DLC. Production crisis. Scenario. A middleware upgrade breaks multiple pipelines. Hypothesis testing. Is it the upgrade or integration scripts? Pilot experiment. One team reverts to old middleware, another uses new in sandbox. Data gathering. Track build success rates and performance metrics. Root cause. Scripts are incompatible, patch scripts, then roll out upgrade. Actionable steps. Building your logical muscle. It's one thing to know frameworks, it's another to make them a habit. Here's how leaders can cultivate logic for game development leaders every day. Step 1. Weekly logic workshops. 60-minute deep dives on a logic topic, such as how to spot confirmation bias. Walk through a recent flawed decision and rebuild it using a decision tree. Reinforce logical tools and foster shared language across the teams. Step 2. Daily critical thinking drills. Morning puzzle prompts related to game scenarios. Share a quick logic puzzle in Slack. Discuss best reasoning in next stand-up. The micro practice solidifies skills and keeps logic top of mind. Sprint level logic integration. At a sprint kickoff, map potential failure points using a simple fault tree. When new challenges arise, pull out your pros and cons matrix right away. Always include a section on logical lessons learned alongside tactical data during postmortems. Provide ready-made toolkits. Pre-built decision tree graphics in your wiki and matrix spreadsheets in your Google Drive as templates is a good start. A shared doc listing logical terms, premise, fallacy, inductive versus deductive glossary also helps. Simple Slack bots reminding teams to run daily drills or schedule retrospectives as automatations also is a great solution. Overcoming cognitive bias. No matter how disciplined, leaders can slip into bias, and here's how to keep it in check. Confirmation bias. Here's the fix. Assign a devil's advocate each meeting to challenge assumptions and surface counter evidence. Sunk cost fallacy. At project milestones, evaluate features on current viability and ignore hours already spent. Anchoring bias. Gather independent estimates before revealing any initial numbers, preventing first figure fixation. Measuring your progress. You can't improve what you don't measure, so track these simple metrics. Decision accuracy. Quarterly review of predicted versus actual outcomes. Cycle time. Average days from prototype to validated features. Aim to cut about 20%. Experimental throughput. Number of experiments that turn into shipped features. Team confidence. Regular surveys on comfort with logic tools and frameworks. Bug reopen rates. Decline indicates stronger root cause analysis. Scaling logical practices across your studio. Building a foundation in logic for game development leaders is just the beginning. To truly elevate your studio's decision-making prowess, you'll want to scale these practices so that every team from engineering to art to QA applies the same rigorous reasoning. Appoint logic champions. Identify and empower logic champions in each department. People passionate about structured reasoning. These responsibilities include host brown bag lunches to teach decision tree usage or run quick bias spotting exercises. Review major project decisions for logical coherence and ensures documentation is clear and complete. Gather successful examples of logical problem solving and distills them into brief case studies for the wider team. By decentralizing ownership, you transform logic for game development leaders from a top-down mandate to a grassroots movement. Cross-functional logic forums. Rather than silo logic training within individual teams, bring everyone together. Have monthly roundtables. Representatives from design, programming, art, production, and QA share a recent decision, its context, premises, and reasoning steps and outcomes. Have rotating facilitation. Each department takes turns leading the forum, offering fresh perspectives on how logic intersects with different disciplines. Have an action tracker. Document key takeaways and assign studio-wide action items, such as revising a decision template or adjusting meeting formats to maintain continuous momentum. This collective approach builds empathy across roles and reinforces that logical problem-solving in game studios is everyone's responsibility. Embedding a culture of logical inquiry. Logical decision-making thrives in environments that encourage curiosity and question-driven work. And here are strategies to foster such a culture. Daily question of the day. Post a brief scenario or reasoning puzzle each morning, perhaps an ambiguous playtest result or a hypothetical production constraint. Team members submit their logical breakdowns by lunchtime. The next stand-up highlights top approaches and uncovers new thinking patterns. Offer small rewards, coffee vouchers, shout-outs, or Logic Star badges to stimulate engagement. This practice keeps logic for game development leaders front of mind and makes structured reasoning a daily habit. Recognition and rewards. Logic Excellence Awards. Quarterly awards for teams or individuals whose explicitly logical decisions led to notable successes, like a feature pivot that boosted engagement or a technical fix that cleared a major bottleneck. Celebration. Feature winners in your studio's newsletter and all-hands meetings, underlining that curiosity and rigor are core studio values. Such recognition cements logic as a celebrated, aspirational skill rather than a dry checkbox. Continuous improvement. Never stop refining logic. Even established practices need periodic recalibration. To ensure logic for game development leaders remains sharp, do the following. Feedback and iteration on frameworks. After each major release or milestone, review the decision-making process itself. What worked? Which steps were skipped? Update your decision tree templates, matrix criteria, or postmortem questions based on these reviews, tailoring tools to your studio's evolving needs. Ongoing education. Share books and articles such as Thinking Fast and Slow or The Art of Reasoning in an accessible knowledge base. Encourage team members to attend critical thinking and logic seminars, then bring back learnings through internal presentations. Measuring long-term impact. To improve the value of your logic initiatives, go beyond anecdote and track these studio-wide metrics. Decision accuracy rate. Compare forecasted outcomes to actual results over rolling quarters. Aim for continuous improvement. Cycle time reductions. Monitor average days from concept to validate prototype. Target a 20 to 30% decrease within 6 months. Experiment to feature ratio. Track how many small experiments evolve into full features, indicating an efficient innovation funnel. Team confidence surveys. Gauge comfort from logical frameworks and tools biannually. Look for rising familiarity and willingness to apply logic in heated situations. Operational KPIs. Lower bug reopen rates and reduced rework hours signal more effective root cause analysis and upfront reasoning. Some final thoughts. Logic isn't just for philosophers. It's the backbone of every sound game development decision. By weaving logic for game development leaders into your studio's culture through core concepts, decision-making frameworks, bias mitigation, and continuous training, you empower your teams to innovate boldly yet judiciously. And here's your next move. Hold a studio-wide logic kickoff. Introduce your updated decision tree and matrix templates in a dedicated all-hands session. Appoint your first logic champions. Identify one advocate in each department to lead workshops and peer coaching. Launch a logic roundtable. Schedule the inaugural cross-functional forum to dissect a recent critical decision. Start today and watch as your studio transforms failures into learning opportunities, complex dilemmas into clear choices, and ambitious ideas into successful releases powered by the enduring strength of logical reasoning. All right, and that's this week's episode of the Press Start Leadership Podcast. Thanks for listening, and as always, thanks for being awesome. Oh, hi. And the episode's over, but thanks for sticking around till the end. Be sure to check out more episodes in the playlist and new episodes every week on Monday. Follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Don't forget to leave a review. Thanks again for being awesome.